My name is Vivian. It's been a while since I slammed the door in their faces, yet the echo of that moment still reverberates in my heart. The desperation in their eyes, the tremor in their voices as they pleaded for me to fix the mess they'd created, it was a sight I'd never forget. But now, as I sit in my new apartment, surrounded by the quiet of my own space, I feel a sense of peace I've never known before. I remember the day I received that fateful text like it was yesterday. I'd just finished a long day at work and was looking forward to a quiet evening at home. My phone buzzed, and I glanced down to see a message from our family group chat. "You're dead to us. Our lawyer will call you. Your sister, Lily, never let us down. We don't need you." My heart stopped. I read the message twice, hoping it was a cruel joke. But it wasn't. The words were cold, harsh, and final. I sat there, numb, for what felt like hours. I couldn't believe what I was reading. The people I'd loved and supported unconditionally, the people I'd sacrificed so much for, had just cut me off with a single message. No phone call, no explanation, just a cold dismissal. I should have been angry, should have lashed out, but all I could feel was a deep sense of betrayal. As I sat there, I couldn't help but think back to the past. My family was never wealthy. My parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, worked hard to make ends meet, but they always struggled. I was the oldest of 2 children, and from a young age, I took on the responsibility of helping out. I worked part-time jobs after school, saved my money, and did whatever I could to ease the burden on my parents. When my parents found their dream house, a charming cottage on the outskirts of town, I knew they couldn't afford it on their own. The down payment was steep, and their credit wasn't great. Without hesitation, I stepped in. I'd been saving for my own place for years, but I didn't think twice. I put my name on the paperwork, signed the mortgage with them, and handed over nearly every dollar I had. My parents were overjoyed. They cried, hugged me, and told me I was their hero. My sister, Lily, who was 5 years younger than me, was also grateful. She hugged me tight and promised, "We'll never forget this, Vivian." I believed her. I really did. For a while, things were good. We made memories in that house. We had family barbecues in the backyard, watched movies on the couch, and celebrated birthdays with too much cake and not enough chairs. I felt like I'd finally found a place where I belonged, a place where I could build a future with my family. But then, things started to change. Lily had always been the more outgoing of the 2 of us. She was beautiful, charming, and had a way of getting what she wanted. She'd always been the favorite in our family, and I'd always been okay with that. But as she got older, she became more selfish and manipulative. She started to complain about me behind my back, whispering poison into my parents' ears. She accused me of controlling everything, of being too bossy, and of not giving her enough freedom. I tried to ignore her, to believe that it was just a phase. But as the months went by, the tension in our family grew. My parents started to side with Lily, to believe her lies. They stopped talking to me, stopped asking for my help. I felt like a stranger in my own home. And then came that text. It was the final straw. It was as if all the love and support I'd given them over the years meant nothing. They'd chosen Lily over me, without a second thought. But I wasn't about to let them get away with it. I knew I had to take action. The next morning, I put on a clean blouse, tied my hair back, and walked into my lawyer's office. Mr. Davis, a family lawyer I'd consulted when helping my parents with the mortgage, recognized me instantly. "Vivian, everything okay?" he asked. I smiled. "It will be. I need to make a change to some property documents." He blinked. "The house?" I nodded. "Yes, I want my name off it." His eyes widened. "You helped purchase it. That would mean." "I know exactly what it means," I said firmly. I explained to him the situation, how my family had betrayed me, how they'd chosen my sister's lies over my loyalty. He listened patiently, then nodded. I understand, he said. But are you sure you want to do this? It's a big decision. I took a deep breath. I'm sure. I can't keep living like this. I need to take back control of my life. He looked at me for a moment, then smiled. Okay. Let's do this. He began to look over the paperwork, and I sat back, my mind replaying everything. The phone calls I'd made for them when they were stuck in traffic, the nights I'd stayed awake making sure their health insurance was sorted out, the money I'd given them over and over again, like it was nothing. And now, they wanted to erase me from their lives like I was just some passing inconvenience. But they didn't realize they were dealing with someone who understood the fine print. The house still had a clause in the deed that stated any removal or transfer of ownership required full consent and renegotiation of loan responsibility. Without me on the documents, they'd have to refinance from scratch. But their credit, their income, it wouldn't be enough. Mr. Davis looked up at me. Do you want to warn them? I shook my head. No. Let their lawyer call me. Let him panic first. He smirked and began drafting the forms. In that moment, I felt no anger, no sadness, just clarity. For once, I wasn't trying to be the fixer. I wasn't begging to be seen or heard. I was taking back control, not through revenge, but through strategy. 2 days later, I woke up to the sound of my phone ringing off the hook. The number on the screen was unfamiliar, but something in my gut told me it was about to be important. I picked up, still half asleep, trying to shake the haze of the morning. Hello? I said. The voice on the other end was frantic, breathless. Vivian? It's Mr. Brown, your family's lawyer. My stomach dropped. My name was on the tip of his tongue, and the panic in his voice was unmistakable. Vivian, we need to talk. Immediately. This is a serious situation. I sat up in bed, my heart racing. What's going on? There was a pause before he spoke again. The property paperwork. You legally removed your name from the deed. I felt the corner of my lips curl into a quiet smile. Yes, I did. He sputtered in disbelief. But Vivian, you can't just do that. You helped buy the house. Your family's relying on that property. Without your name on the deed, they can't refinance, they can't sell it, they can't even make the mortgage payments without your approval. I leaned back against the pillows, my voice calm. I understand. That's why I did it. His voice rose in panic. This isn't just a minor legal misstep, Vivian. You've completely cut them off from any claim to that property. Without you on the deed, they technically don't own it anymore. They have no legal right to the house. I could hear him tapping away at his keyboard, probably scanning through the legal documents like they were some unexpected disaster. You've put your family in a very difficult situation, he continued, his tone softer, almost pleading. If they don't fix this quickly, they could lose everything. My hands were steady, not shaking with guilt or fear, as they might have expected. Instead, I felt calm, detached, a feeling I'd been craving since that text had first landed in my inbox. I'm sure they'll figure it out, I said softly. I'm sure they'll manage. His frustration grew. Vivian, please, think about what you're doing. You're jeopardizing your entire family's future over this. They're not prepared for this kind of fallout. We're talking about a total financial disaster. They can't even access the house without you. You've left them essentially homeless, and for what? You've got to undo this. I knew exactly where he was coming from. He was trying to pressure me into reversing my decision. Maybe he thought I was angry. Maybe he thought I was hurt. But I wasn't. This wasn't about anger or pain anymore. This was about standing up for myself. I've made my choice, I said, my voice firm. I'll leave it to you and your clients to figure out how to fix it. I hung up before he could say anything else, my fingers hovering over the phone for a moment. The weight of the decision didn't feel heavy anymore. It felt freeing. The chaos, the panic on the other end of that call, that was their burden now, not mine. I had simply taken back what was mine. And then, they showed up at my door. It was late afternoon when I heard the knock. I knew exactly who it was before I even opened the door. Lily stood there first, her eyes red, face blotchy from crying. Behind her, my parents lingered, their expressions a mix of desperation and disbelief. Lily's voice trembled as soon as she saw me. "Vivian, please. Please, you've got to fix this. You have to put your name back on the deed. We can't lose the house. We'll figure things out, I promise. We were wrong. We're sorry." Her words came in a rush, like a flood of guilt that she hoped would wash away her betrayal. I watched her, not with anger or sorrow, but with a detached calmness that shocked even me. "I'm sorry," I asked softly, as if I hadn't heard her clearly. "You're sorry?" She nodded, sniffling. "Yes, I know we've hurt you. But, Vivian, we need you. You've always been there for us. Please, don't do this. You can't let us lose everything." My father spoke up, his voice cracking with urgency. "Vivian, listen to us. We don't know how to fix this without you. We're your family. You can't just throw everything away. Please, we need your help." I looked at them one by one, feeling the weight of the words they'd texted me only days ago. "You're dead to us," I whispered, my voice barely audible. But the impact of those words echoed between us. "That's what you said, remember? Those exact words. You're dead to us. Our lawyer will call you. Your sister never let us down. We don't need you." Their faces froze in shock, and for a moment, it felt like time stood still. I could see the regret in their eyes, the realization of the gravity of their actions slowly dawning on them. But there was no turning back now. "I don't need you to need me anymore," I said, stepping back slightly to close the door, but holding it open just enough to make my point clear. "You made your choice. You cut me out when I was your last resort, your backup. You kicked me to the curb. And now, you want me to fix it for you." I could see my father's hand shaking, his face twisted in a desperate plea. "Vivian, don't do this. We're sorry. We need you. Please, I'll make it right. I shook my head, cutting him off. "No. You don't get to erase what you did, not with an apology. Not with tears. You made your choice, and now, you deal with the consequences. I'm done fixing everything for you." I could see Lily's face crumple, tears spilling down her cheeks. But I couldn't find it in myself to comfort her. The betrayal had been too deep, too ingrained for me to forgive them with a simple apology. "Goodbye," I said, my voice firm. "I hope you figure it out. But, I won't be the one to save you this time." And with that, I closed the door, not out of anger, but out of finality. There was no going back, not for me, not for them. They had crossed a line they couldn't come back from. The first thing I did was sell the house. It wasn't just about the money. It was about ownership, about taking control of my life, and taking away what they'd so carelessly assumed they had a right to. The house was still legally mine, after all, and while they floundered in their panic, I remained calm, composed. I sold it quickly, for a price that was more than fair, but still one that would leave my family scrambling. The proceeds, well, they weren't for me. Not entirely. I donated a significant portion to a women's shelter that I'd volunteered at a few times in the past. It felt like the right thing to do, a powerful, healing way to use the money. The rest of the money? That went into my own future, my new life. I invested it wisely, in real estate and a bit of stock. It wasn't about the wealth, it was about security, independence, the kind of future I'd never been able to imagine when I was always focused on everyone else. As for my family, well, they were left to deal with the fallout. It was a painful thing to witness, but they'd made their bed, and now they had to lie in it. I stayed far away from them in the days that followed. The calls came, the apologies, the letters from their lawyer full of threats and desperate pleas. They begged me to reverse the sale, to give them back their home. They tried to manipulate me, appealing to my sense of guilt, my supposed sense of responsibility, but I didn't answer. I ignored it all. Weeks passed, and as I settled into my new apartment, I realized how peaceful it was, how truly free I felt. I wasn't weighed down by the constant pressure of being everyone else's savior. I wasn't responsible for keeping everything together. I could finally breathe, truly breathe for the first time in years. And then, one day, I received a message from Lily. It was short, a simple text that read, "We're sorry. We didn't understand. We've lost everything. Please talk to us." I stared at the screen, my heart oddly calm. There was no satisfaction in the message, no rush of triumph, just the quiet acceptance of a reality I'd already come to terms with. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. My parents never called me again. They'd moved on, just as they'd always done when things got tough. But this time there was no pretending. There was no escaping the truth they'd tried to bury under layers of manipulation and guilt. They'd pushed me away, and now they were left to face the consequences of their betrayal alone. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was exactly where I needed to be. I wasn't living for anyone else. I wasn't sacrificing my own happiness for a family that didn't value me. I was living for myself, free from the chains of their expectations. And as I looked at the future, I couldn't help but feel a quiet satisfaction. I had let go of the family that had once meant everything to me. I had walked away, not with anger, but with dignity. And that was the true power I had taken back. I had finally chosen myself.